the next generation is calling themselves the last generation. In the next few minutes, we are going to talk about why and what to do about it. But first, let's listen to what Robert Reich has to say about this. He's a brilliant professor at Berkeley, and he has worked under Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, and was the Secretary of Labor under Bill Clinton.
I try to be mindful of the world these students are entering. I was talking with some of them recently, and I asked, you're no longer Generation Z. What do you call yourself? What's the generation after Generation Z? What are you? And several of them said, we're the last generation.
You endorsed Zohran Mamdani early on. That is certainly more than the Democratic leaders of the city have done, even after this victory. The name of your class, Wealth and Poverty, very much signifies the significance of this campaign, the very issues he addressed. Talk about the shockwaves and what you think this suggests for the future.
Well, shockwaves is a good way of putting it, Amy. The Democratic Party really needs to learn this lesson. It's a lesson that over the last 40 years, it could have learned over and over again. But the lesson is very simple. There is a huge anti-establishment wave in America. That's the strongest wave in American politics. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the bottom 60 to 80% of Americans have not seen a real wage increase in 45 years. People are doing a little bit better than they did 45 years ago, but the people at the top are doing wonderfully well. I mean, they're having weddings in Venice. There's so much conspicuous consumption at the top. Wealth has been siphoned off, and it's because the economy is rigged. I mean, I hate to say it. This is the one thing that I agree with Donald Trump about. The economy is rigged, but it's rigged against working class people, and I think Mamdani understood that. He understood that people have got to want a change, but also they want affordability. They want an economy that is working for them, and they want new faces. They want younger people. They want a new generation of Democratic leaders. Trump fooled the majority of Americans, or at least a plurality, into thinking that he would be their savior. He would be doing something about prices. He would actually be responding to the needs of average working people. Now, he hasn't, obviously. He didn't in his first term. Remember, the major thing he did in his first term was a big tax cut, mostly for the rich. That's what he's doing now. Again, another big tax cut, mostly for the rich. But he uses the symbols of cultural populism, like immigration, to persuade a lot of people that he's on their side. What's wonderful, and I think Democrats really should take some solace from this, about the Mamdani's campaign, is that you had the biggest war chest in modern American politics against him. You had Bill Clinton endorsing him.
Your boss.
My former boss. Not my boss anymore. And you have the Democratic establishment really making a kind of last-ditch effort to do everything they possibly could for him. And they failed miserably. If there's not a lesson here about people rising, demanding what they want and what they need, and a new generation of Democrats rising, talking to people authentically about what they need, I don't know what the lesson is.
A speech you gave in 1994 at the Democratic Leadership Council when you were still the Secretary of Labor for Bill Clinton.
My friends, we are on the way to becoming a two-tiered society, composed of a few winners and a larger group of Americans left behind, whose anger and whose disillusionment is easily manipulated. Once unbottled, mass resentment can poison the very fabric of society, the moral integrity of a society, replacing ambition with envy, replacing tolerance with hate. Today, the targets of that rage, and we see it around us. You can only read the daily paper. You don't have far to look. Today, the targets of that rage are immigrants, and welfare mothers and government officials and gays and an ill-defined counterculture. But as the middle class continues to erode, who will be the targets tomorrow?
All the way back in 1994, Robert was talking about the potential for a United States demagogue to come and take over our political system. A demagogue is someone who works by pushing the fears and prejudices of people rather than speaking to their rational side. We, as a system, created a vacuum in the United States that allowed for someone like Donald Trump to fearmonger in order to push the public so far that we have an entire generation that feels absolutely hopeless. When we're talking about a society that is doing well, one of the key metrics to figure out if a society is actually establishing itself in the way that we want to see is to ask the children, the next generation, what they think their future looks like. If children are growing up in a healthy society, they should be excited for the world of tomorrow and be expressive about the opportunities that they see themselves growing into. The United States used to have that, but we don't have that anymore. Right now, we have an entire generation that feels lost. We have multiple Millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha. To hear that young adults, 18 to 20 years old, are considering themselves to be the last generation is absolutely heartbreaking. We have a world full of abundance. There is wealth that has never been seen before, all out around us. Yet opportunity after opportunity is being shut down, and we have failed as a society to offer a life path for young people to follow. This seems like one of the first times in history that you cannot talk to a little kid and tell them that when they grow up, these are the jobs that they can hope for. We don't know what jobs are going to be out there 5 years from now, let alone if you are raising a child. The entire college system relies on students going into crippling debt with the promise that they will at least have opportunities when they get into the workforce in order to pay off those loans. But you are having someone that we do not deem responsible enough to drink alcohol and purchase tobacco take out oftentimes tens of thousands of dollars of loans. And by the way, student loans are one of the few types of loans that can be taken out where even if you are completely financially crippled, a bankruptcy does not forgive the loans that you have. When business people venture out and risk millions of dollars of borrowed money in order to try to make it off and be successful, when they collapse and fail, they declare bankruptcy, and then they get a clean slate. We are not giving that opportunity to our kids. One of the most terrifying things that we have witnessed in front of our own eyes today is just how much people are looking for an out, for a bad guy, for someone that they can blame for the lack of their success. And as long as a political figure is willing to give a cop-out, people will be happy that at least they are not at the bottom. But the problem is, once you start pushing prejudice against one type of people, first of all, that's a terrible society that we don't want to live in. But second of all, once you push them down far enough, you need a new group to push down, because now, yeah, you don't want to compare yourself to someone that is completely down and out. We are not moving in a direction at the moment that is catering towards an enlightened generation to come. Instead, we are pushing addictive platforms like the feed on social media, like things that take 2 seconds of attention span in order to consume until you're on to the next one. And we are making an entire generation dependent and addicted to this material. And it sure does seem like this is on purpose. People that are uneducated and have short attention spans are easier to manipulate and control. There's a game being played right now, and there's an entire generation that is the cost of this game. The entire world. I really do think that we can come together in order to make the world a better place within our lifetimes. But it's going to take you and me putting in the hard work. We just need to say it is unacceptable for an entire generation to feel like the world is out to get them and isn't providing them any opportunities. We are born into this world with no say about whether or not we want to be. So we deserve to enjoy the fruits of the world and the prosperity that society puts together, because society is the reason that we are here in the first place. I really think we can build a movement. It's going to take you and me coming together. If you made it this far in the video, please like and subscribe and share the video. Let's get as many people focused on this, focused on making a better world as possible. And leave a comment down below. What do you think we need to do in order to build momentum behind making the world a better place? I hope you have a great day.